Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about another conversion. This is lesson 11-2. Lesson 11-2. Lesson 2-2. Hello. Converting percents to fractions. Fractions. And fractions to percents. And today's date is 11/14/18. If you can see a little corner there, right here, that's my bedspread. Yes, I'm sitting in bed because my feet are freezing. It's cold. Anyway, today we're going to talk about percents and fractions. Yesterday we were dealing with decimals and fractions, but now we want to relate them individually back to what are percents. So first off, I've got a little guide that we're going to glue into our notebooks, and just understanding that percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. Okay, so I'm going to add to this a little bit. The word percent can be split into two parts. And the per means division, so we're going to divide by. And cent is a prefix that means 100. So a ratio that compares a number to 100 is basically saying if n equals a number, then percent means that number over 100. So they gave us an example that 45% is 45 out of 100, or 45 over 100. And then a model, this is what we call a 10 by 10 grid. And a 10 by 10 grid has 100 little boxes. And what we're going to do is take and color as many boxes as our numerator tells us. So out of the 100 white boxes, we're going to color 45 of them to represent 45%. Now we can also do that with a bar diagram. And a bar diagram, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equal-sized bars. They go from 0 to 100%, so each one would equal 10%. If we want to visualize what 45% is, we're going to cover up 4 of the boxes and then half of a fifth one, and that would be 45%. Okay, so what we're going to do is talk about the two different ideas to go from percents to fractions, and then from fractions to percents. Probably can only get one of them, here on this side, and then we'll do the rest on the next side. So let's talk about how do we take a percent and we change it to a fraction. So this is actually super simple if we just remember what the definition means. So we're going to take the percent number, and give it a denominator of 100. And I'm going to just kind of yell at you for a minute. Always. Okay? Now, the deal is, if I'm doing that, and I'm going to put it over 100, I'm going to drop off the percent sign. So that percent symbol is no longer there. Once I do that, I'm just going to simplify the fraction. Because remember, we always reduce ratios and fractions to lowest terms. So take whatever the percent number is, give it a denominator of 100, don't include the percent symbol, and then simplify the fraction. That's as easy as it gets. So let's talk on the other side about fractions to percent. So maybe I can cram it all on here. So now we're going the other direction. Now this gets a little tricky. In order to be percent, we have to have a denominator of 100. So we're going to be using like ratio tables again, and we're going to figure out how to scale up or scale back so that we can get our denominator to equal 100. Now this is just one way. We're going to talk about a different way of doing this when we include decimals. But today we're just dealing with fractions. So again, we're going to scale up using multiplication, or scale back, which is using division, to make a denominator of 100. So I'm going to abbreviate denominator as denom of 100. So again, what we need to do is look at the denominator that we have, and we're just going to kind of focus in on him. And we're going to do whatever math we need to do to get that denominator to equal 100. But remember, whatever I do to him, I got to do to the numerator. So the new fraction we're going to create will be equivalent, okay, to the original fraction, which means I have changed both numerator and denominator by the same amount. So we're going to create an equivalent fraction with 100 as the denominator. So I'm going to say denom. And once I do that, the numerator is actually the percent number. So the numerator, and I'll spell it out for once. So numerator number will be the percent number. So the only thing that I need to do is to grab that numerator number and remember this key idea. Add the percent symbol to the numerator number. Okay, so that's as simple as it is. On the next page, we're going to actually practice both of these strategies. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with a percent, and we're going to change it to a decimal. Or, sorry, to a percent. No, let's try that again in English. We're going to take that percent number and change it to a fraction. And then the directions do remind us in simplest form. They don't have to, okay? So we're going to take that 75, dropping off the percent symbol, and we're going to put 100 as the denominator, because that's what percent means, divide by 100. Then we're going to simplify, and I can see that both of these share a 25 in common. And so what I get for my final answer is 75 divided by 5 is 3. 100 divided by 5 is 4. So 3/4 is the same as 75%. Okay? Now some of you may have known that, but 38%, what about that guy? So we start with 38. We're going to give it a denominator of 100, because that's what percent means. I notice that they're both even, so I'm going to divide top and bottom by 2. And that's going to give me 19 over 50. Now I can't simplify any more than that since 19 is prime, so 38% is the same as 19/50. Okay, let's look at number 3. The table shows the percent of each movie type rented during a month. What fraction of the rentals were action movies? What fraction of the rentals were horror movies? So let's answer this in two ways. Let's start with action. So what it says with action is that it's 35%. But they ask for what fraction. So we're going to take 35, and percent means to divide by 100. Actually, I should probably make that orange too. Now, they both share a 5 in common, so I'm going to divide out of 5. And we end up with 7/20. So 7/20 of the rentals were action movies. Okay, so that's how I could write that as a sentence. All right, let's go ahead. And the second one they talked about was horror movies. Not my favorite. Okay, so horror movies were 5%. So we're going to take 5% and we're going to change it into 5 divided by 100. 5%. Now, they also both have 5 in common. And when I simplify, I get 1/20. So 1/20 of the rentals were horror movies. Okay. Now we're going to switch gears and we're going to go the other direction. So it says write the fraction 9/12 as a percent. Whew, this is going to be an interesting one. So that was the longest 9 ever. So I'm going to kind of do a table here. And my goal, let me change that color, is to get the denominator equal to 100. Okay. I can't multiply 12 by anything to get to 100. So I need to come up with numbers that can go into 100. Let's see, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50. So let's see, 12. 4. Ooh, what if I divide 12 by 3? And if I do that by 3, then I got to divide 9 by 3. And that would give me this answer. 3 in the numerator and 4 in the denominator. Oh, I'm starting to see it. And then if I multiply 4 by 25, that's going to give me 100. And 3 times 25 is 75. So here's what I do. I write the numerator number, and to represent the divided by 100, I just write the percent symbol. That's it. 75%. Easy as that. All right. And last one here says Mitch made 20 out of 40 shots during the championship game. What percent of his shots did Mitch make? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a table. And we want 100 to be the denominator, because that's percent. So let's see, 40 can't go into 100 evenly, but let's see what could. 10. Ooh, 10. Ooh, wait a second, I'm starting to see something here. So let me try this. If I divide 40 by 4, I get 10. And if I divide 12 by 4, I get 3. So again, remember when you're scaling up or scaling, well, especially scaling back, you want to have the number that you're scaling back by go evenly into both values, okay? Now, I can scale up by multiplying by 10. And what I get is 3 times 10 is 30, okay? So what I do is I grab that numerator and I write it with the percent symbol. So I get 30%. So we could say Mitch made, I'm going to do this in black. %30 of his shots. And that's the answer to this problem. So there you have it, how to change from percents to fractions and fractions to percent. All right, good luck with this.